Hey, this is Paige Ruderman, and this is the So Rude podcast. Welcome to the show. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the So Rude podcast. I'm Paige Ruderman, and today I am so excited to welcome a special guest to the show. Jon Worthy is a Nashville-based artist with a style equal parts rock, Americana, and pop. He creates from a place of making music he wants to make rather than the genre to define him. His sound has been described as a fusion between Nirvana and the Lumineers. Jon has over 150 song placements on networks such as Netflix, Hulu, USA, Fox, and NBC, with shows like The Kardashians, Love Island, 20-somethings, Billion Dollar Idea, American Ninja Warrior, Major League Baseball commercials, and counting. He has also toured throughout the Southeast and Northeast in 2022 and 2023, including dates at Music Fest both years, Paris, Valencia, Tel Aviv, Munich, Lisbon, New York City, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. Jon released his fourth album in 2024 titled Barely Here. Accompanying the release of Barely Here was the first ever vinyl release. I met Jon earlier this year at a round at Tailgate Brewery. I'm so excited to dig into his journey to Nashville, his work in sync, working as a full-time musician, his artistry, and more. Jon, welcome to the So Rude podcast. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Paige. Excited to dive into some music stuff.
Me too. And I know this has been like a long time coming. We were trying to get a date down that worked. I'm so excited we were finally able to make it happen.
Yeah.
And so, oh my gosh, just reading, what an incredible bio. Tell me a little bit more about you. When did music start for you? When'd you first get into it?
So when I was 13, my dad and I watched Behind the Music Guns N' Roses, and I'll never forget seeing concert footage from that episode. It was like Slash, shirt off, hair in front of his face, reaching for a bottle of Jack Daniels. Like, okay, I want that to be me. So literally within a couple weeks, I started taking guitar lessons and enjoyed it. I wouldn't say I loved music at that point. Like I always played throughout high school, but it wasn't a major point in my life. And then I went to college, and freshman year, I kind of found myself with a lot of time on my hands. I didn't make a lot of friends right away. So the way that I spent a lot of my time was just playing the guitar. I had an old school iDock next to my bed, and I would just go through all my songs and like try and play along with them. And then eventually I tried to kind of recreate those songs in my own style. And that's kind of how my songwriting started, just by like recreating other people's songs in my own way. And I would say that's really where music almost became like a friend for me. Like it was a way to fill the emptiness in the space and kind of get me through the lonely freshman year of college. And then eventually during college, I found my people and started a band. And then senior year, like we got to perform. We had a residency at this local bar at Penn State. We got to play every week. And a buddy that was in that band, the singer, was like, "Hey man, I think I'm going to move to Nashville after we graduate." I didn't have any plans. So I was like, "Yeah, I've never been there. I'll move there." So yeah, I moved to Nashville sight unseen, and I've been here ever since.
That is so cool. Okay, so you mentioned Penn State. Is that where you went to college as well?
Yeah, and I have no musical degree. I have degrees in finance and economics. So no like professional music background. I feel like I've gotten a PhD in music just from the years that I've been here, like, going through all the trials and tribulations and all the stuff I've learned, just kind of like a naturally learning PhD in music just from all the stuff I've done as opposed to going to school for it.
Oh, and I think it's just as impressive for people to have not done the traditional music degree and really learn on the job, so to speak,
Yeah.
while they create their own artistry and the work that they get to do. And that's really, so what drew you to finance and accounting? Like what made you go down that?
Honestly, yeah. I mean, my dad was, worked in business. My brothers graduated with business degrees. I didn't really have an idea of what I wanted to do, to be honest. And all 4 years of college, I didn't necessarily enjoy what I was studying, but I was able to graduate with a couple of degrees and go and work in corporate world, which is, kind of anti-music, but as opposed to being like a bartender or a server or working as a barista, I was able to work like a very set schedule and make good money, which funded my music career for many years. And due to the fact that I didn't like my job and I was not worried about getting fired, I cut a lot of corners. So I would leave work early a lot. Um, and I would go on weekend runs, like leave work early at like 1 p.m. on a Friday and not tell anyone, just go play shows because I wasn't worried about my future corporate career. So it was very beneficial, and I wouldn't necessarily do it a different way if I had to go back because I was able to fund a lot of cool music videos, buy a touring van as opposed to like grinding and really struggling with kind of a service job that a lot of people struggle with.
Oh, definitely. And I really appreciate you sharing that because I think there's this pressure that if you're not doing music full time, like you're not serious about it. But
Yeah,
what a relief of kind of like weight off your shoulders if you're like, okay, I can pay the bills, which is what allows me to do what I want to do, which is
yeah,
pursue music or write music or produce. Um, so it's like nice to hear from people that have been, and I'm excited to talk about your transition into music full time as well. But it's
yeah,
exciting to hear from someone like you who does music full time that like, hey, I had a day job and it helped me get where I
yeah,
am now.
absolutely. Yeah, I don't know unless you just magically were brought up in the world where you like had all these amazing contacts or somehow you hit it big when you're 20, 21 years old. It'd be tough to just say I'm going to be a full-time musician because I mean it's not an easy way to make a living. You got to really find your own little niche and ways of making money doing it. So I think it's definitely something that a lot of people struggle with and have to deal with is working and doing music simultaneously.
Yeah, especially here in Nashville. So how long have you been in Nashville now?
June 1st was either 11 or 12 years. I think
Wow,
2013, so maybe 11, 20, or no, 12 years. Yeah,
that's
12 years.
incredible.
Yeah.
What, like, I imagine you've seen a lot of change over the last 12 years.
Yeah. I feel like it used to kind of be the Wild West. Like the first band I was in here, Lightning 100 used to host, and for the people listening, that's a very popular local like indie station. They did folk, Americana, rock and roll. Um, they used to host this Friday night writers round or writers night, and we would just go and like hand them our music, and it would be on the radio on Monday. Now it's like so much more competitive. There's so many people here moving every day that are amazing musicians and singers and songwriters. But when I first moved here, it was like so much easier to get really cool shows, get on the radio, and I feel like the opportunities were way more abundant. And now it's like it's so saturated here now and extremely competitive, and everyone's just like desperate for something to happen. So I feel like that's definitely a change. And then also just Nashville itself's become just such a party capital of the country. It's like so commercialized now, but it's still a great place to be as a musician. And I don't think you're really better off being in like high paying LA or New York City as opposed to being here.
Yeah, especially for the community aspect. I feel like you mentioned, so many talented people live here, the best of the best, and just getting
Yeah,
to cross paths with them through a round or like a show or you're on the same bill for something. It's wild the way people will meet people in passing.
yeah. Like I played a show this past Tuesday at the Five Spot, and the band right before me, never heard of them. Like just started watching them, and I was blown away. Like I hadn't been that blown away by someone in a long time that I didn't know, and I started talking to the guy after the show, and he's like, "Yeah, I've been here quite a while, and this is kind of like a new project. I was in a band called the Delta Saints, and I literally bought tickets to see them many, many years ago. And they were like a band that was really progressing and, making a name for themselves. So it's just wild, the people you come across, that their paths and journeys that they've been on. You never know what they've accomplished or what they've achieved. And everyone is always kind of restarting and having to regroup.
And I think that's the mark of a true artist too, because like I think artists just like to create things. And so if they were part of a band or part of a project and that project, has reached its conclusion, it doesn't mean that's the end of them creating work or art. It's just, okay, we're going to pivot. We're going to try this, do a solo act. Or
Yeah,
um,
absolutely.
you said you moved here as part of a band or through
uh
band members mentioning moving to Nashville. Some of your most recent work is released solo. What's your preference?
so yeah, so my first band was Easy Roscoe, and I was mostly just a guitar player and songwriter there. I didn't really even, I mean, I knew I could sing a little bit, but it wasn't like anything that I ever thought would become of me as a vocalist. Um, and we did some really cool stuff. We toured, we played festivals, and that was like the thing. Easy Roscoe was my project, and then eventually I kept writing and writing, and the democratic process of a band. Some songs don't get picked, so I had all these like leftover songs that the band didn't want that I felt were still good. So I just decided to kind of put a group of guys together and record. So I did a little 5 or 6 song EP at the bomb shelter in East Nashville, and eventually, like, that turned into playing a couple shows. Easy Roscoe started kind of fizzling out, and then I just felt very compelled to keep writing, and kind of gaining my voice as a vocalist was really exciting, becoming a better singer and just continuing to do it. And it felt very easy to give my voice to my melodies and lyrics. It just felt very natural. And yeah, and then it just like, as one band started going down, one went up. Um, and then I've been in a couple other bands, like uh, uh, I can't even remember the name of one band. We only played like 3 shows, but we were together for like a year. We did a lot of rehearsals and stuff. And then my ex-girlfriend and I were in a band, KJ Wild, and we got to like play all kinds of shows all over the world. Um, so that was really cool. And we've had a lot of songs and like TV shows together too. So, but now I'm pretty much just focusing on like releasing my music and then songwriting with other people and just seeing what kind of happens with the collaboration. But I think I've kind of come to the conclusion that it's really hard to maintain your own project as well as a side project when you don't necessarily have like a legit music like fan base, because you have to put so much effort into getting that fan base with one project that if you're trying to do multiple things, you're spreading yourself too thin. And it's like the people that do side projects are the ones that already have a lot of fans that want to hear more music from them. So they just kind of hop on with someone else that's successful and they can release music and it gets listened to.
That's such an interesting take, and I've not thought about that, but there is something to what you said about the people that are already successful. It's kind of like they've made a lane for themselves. They have
Yeah,
a
they don't
committed.
need to necessarily like push this project. It's already, people are already going to listen to it. Like I'm still trying to get people to listen to me. So why would they go listen to this other thing that's even less unknown,
Yeah.
more unknown, I should say.
And for people tuning in that are maybe pursuing this solo act while also having a side project, something to think about. Where do you want to put most of your energy? And then it doesn't mean that you can't do things later on, but yeah, what should be kind of your focus?
Yeah, I do think it, like the bands that you see succeed, I mean, they're like, that's what they do. Like they are a unit. They all buy into this one thing and they just push it. They're not playing in 4 projects. Oh, I can't play this show because I'm playing with this person. They're all fully bought in. They have an image. They have like a sound, a cool vibe, and those are typically the bands that I've experienced that have made it. Like it's not a group of 5 people that play with 5 other bands. That just you're spreading yourself so thin. It's hard to like push that.
It sounded like a common thread through, as you were sharing your, journey through bands and solo projects, that songwriting has been one thing that has been a constant throughout that for you. When did you realize you enjoyed the songwriting side?
I think, yeah, it was part of that whole college experience of like music fulfilling a part of me, just kind of being in a new environment away from my family and not necessarily knowing a lot of people right away. So just freshman year of college is when I started kind of diving into songwriting. Um, and then, yeah, by senior year, I was writing songs all the time. Um, and then I've just always written songs. Like I think I've released over 90 Jon Worthy songs, like 5 albums, 3 EPs. And then I've been in a bunch of other projects too where I've written the songs. So I've always been able to like just pump out songs, and that's something I'm grateful to have the skills set for.
That's pretty incredible, 90 songs. And I think I saw on John Worth, at least according to Spotify, first project that went out was 2015. So you've been releasing solo works 10
Yeah,
years
I guess
now.
10 years. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, 10
Yeah.
years. It's
What do you
crazy.
feel like you've learned? Like, do you feel like you've learned or picked up anything over those 10 years that has influenced like what you release moving forward?
I'm definitely a lot pickier about the songs that I choose to write. And um, I mean, now I just do singles and then eventually I package it as an album. But my first 3 albums, I like released maybe a single or two and then just released, 10 songs at once, which unless you have a big following, you're kind of just wasting ammunition because, you release one song and, one group of people may hear it that they wouldn't have heard if you would have released the whole thing at once. So you're just increasing the chances that more people can hear you by releasing one song at a time, in my opinion. So that's definitely one thing I've learned. And I'm not sure if it's working, but um, yeah. And then just being more selective of the type of songs that I'm writing. I definitely enjoy co-writing a lot more now. I was kind of very anti co-writing for a while. I always just wrote my own songs. Um, and then I realized it's just fun to have other people's ideas and hear what they think about it. And it's just fun to be in the room with someone and create. So that's been really fun the last like 3 or 4 years to get into that. But yeah, I mean, as far as like, have I learned anything that's helped me tremendously? Not really. It's like impossible to break through in music, but you just have to keep going and never give up. Um, I think you can't study anything and say like, oh yeah, that's a great way to go about it. It's different journey for every single person. Like no one makes it in the same way. Um, One person might do like grassroots touring and somehow break through. One person might have one video on TikTok blow up. One person might know someone that gets them an opening gig. It's like it's so different for every single person. So you just kind of have to keep trying things, keep meeting people, and seeing what works for you.
Yeah, talking about what works for you, how would you describe your creation process now? You said like lyrics and just pumping out songs is something very natural. Are you most inspired by like production and sound? Are you more driven by the lyric itself? Like what's your typical starting point?
I'd say almost exclusively until like the last couple of years, it was always just like sitting on my bed or somewhere with an acoustic guitar, just kind of fiddling around and humming along a melody. And then as soon as that starts to sound good to me, I'll kind of develop, okay, that's a verse. And then I need to come up with a chorus, still no lyrics. And then eventually, when I have like maybe a verse and a chorus, I would start kind of plotting out the song and putting lyrics and melodies to it. So I'm very even when I listen to music, I would say I'm more drawn to the melody and like the sound as opposed to the lyrics. And then when I really like a song, I actually hear the lyrics. Um, and that's another thing with co-writing for me. Like there's so many people that are really into lyrics and just natural wordsmiths. So it's nice to kind of have them add that because I can always get a melody and a cool musical thing going pretty quick. And now I've written so many songs, I feel like I struggle a little bit lyrically just because I've kind of repeated so many ideas that I've been through. Um, but yeah, definitely like more of a melody driven songwriter.
Yeah. And you're in the city for co-writing. Like
Yeah,
literally
yeah,
toss a dart down the road, you'll hit one, you know what I mean?
right. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I think it's interesting hearing from you that melody comes so natural, and I think that shows true in your songs because I was listening to your catalog, especially the stuff you've released in 2025, which is quite extensive, all and we're only like a little over halfway through the year. But you've really honed in sonically on a sound. Like all of the songs sound like they fit together, they sound like they live within the same world, and um that's really cool. Who like inspired you growing up? Who were some of your favorite like artists and music that you listen to?
So I would say Pearl Jam is probably my all time favorite band. I don't necessarily think I sound like them, but I've always loved because they have very melodically driven music, and then Eddie Vedder's an amazing lyricist too. But I just love their whole vibe. AC/DC, like the classic rock bands, Guns N' Roses, Beatles. I spent a whole summer in Florida doing an internship where I pretty much only listened to the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, and then some more like modern artists would be Cage the Elephant, um, the Districts. Um, I like the War on Drugs, Xavier Rudd. Um, yeah, I'm definitely very like into obviously indie alternative music. Never really got into too much country or mainstream pop. Like when put on popular songs, I never know the song,
Like if it's not 10 years old, you're kind of like, I don't know it.
or if it, yeah, unless it's like a cool band that I know. But yeah, I don't know. Not that I don't appreciate it, I just don't really pay attention to it.
No, that's fair. Did you see Pearl Jam? They were in Nashville. Was it earlier this year or late last year?
Yeah, I didn't. I've seen them, I think 6 times, but Um, I didn't go to this one. But
Yeah.
yeah, they're amazing.
Yeah,
Did you
that
go?
was my first time seeing them. Yeah.
Oh,
And I
really?
was like, oh man, okay, to be fair, I work there. So I get to see a lot of cool bands, but I did not know much of their stuff. But they were fantastic.
Yeah, they're really cool. They're like as close to a jam band as a pop rock band can get, as far as like they don't really repeat a lot of songs live. Like if I don't know if you know anything about Fish, but like they don't play the same song twice on a whole tour, and that's kind of like the standard for
Oh,
jam
wow.
bands. And Pearl Jam's really into like they're cultivating a set list for each show and making it a unique experience. So they're kind of like the closest you can get to a jam band experience that still has catchy choruses and stuff.
That's really cool. I don't
Yeah.
know much about jam bands, but what I did notice, at least from being there, was how committed their fan base was. Like
Oh my God.
everyone I passed, they're like, yeah, this is like the sixth time I've seen them. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's incredible. That's
Yeah.
like,
They mean a lot to a lot of people. Like they've helped people, not kill themselves. They've helped people out of mental health situations, out of divorces. Their lyrics like have impacted a lot of people, and it's just such a cool. I've never felt like so friendly with going to a show. Like people are like, "Have a great show, man!" Like you're a part of the experience because you are. You're giving into the energy when you go to a show. So yeah, the community of Pearl Jam's awesome.
that's really cool. And it's cool that you've gotten to see them so many times.
Yeah, yeah.
So, talking about your music and especially how music can build a community, you don't think about that often, but people really bond over liking the same artists. But talking about your songs, Terminal A seems to be, is that your newest release?
Is it? I don't know. I
I
guess
think
it
it
is. Yeah.
is. It
Okay.
is from a Spotify perspective.
Okay. Then it is. Yeah.
Talk to me about that song. What was that one like for you? Is that the Philadelphia? You wrote that in the Philadelphia
Yeah, yeah,
airport?
good research. Yeah, I went to Germany and Switzerland with my ex, and we had a show in Munich. We had different flights out to Zurich, so I flew out of Philadelphia and had just kind of a longer wait, and I was just sitting there like a huge, classic airport window, just looking out at the sky, and I had my guitar with me, and no one was around, so I took it out and started playing, and I came up with that riff, and then I remember just like right away a lyric that came to me was "I stare at the sky." That's the opening line because I was just looking out at the airplanes and the sky and everything. So, and then I finished that as soon as I got back into the States because it was like on my mind the whole trip. I was like, oh yeah, I like that.
You've released quite a bit this year. It feels like almost one a month. Just to name a couple recent ones, Terminal A, If I Knew Then, Give You All I Am, Chaos Dreams. I really liked that one.
Thank you.
Yeah, that one was really cool. And it seemed almost like more energetic than some of the other ones. I don't know. It felt like it
Yeah.
had a great vibe.
So Chaos Dreams and If I Knew Then were with a guy I've actually never met. So he lives out in Portland, Oregon, and he hired me online to top line a song for him, which I did. And then he came back like a couple months later. He's like, "Hey man, I really liked what you did. Would you be interested in collaborating?" So over the course of a couple years, he sent me like all these instrumental ideas, and I top lined a number, and then we kind of honed it in to like two or three. So those are two that he kind of came up with all the music, and then I top lined with the melodies and the lyrics. So it was a cool little collaboration.
That is really cool. What's it
Yeah.
like collaborating with someone you've never officially met? You're just sending voice notes back and forth.
Yeah, weirdly enough, I've done that quite a bit. Another one that you mentioned, "Give You All I Am." I've never met that guy. Um, my most popular song, I've never met that guy. Everything I've ever needed. Um, yeah, it's just like someone will send me an instrumental, and I actually really enjoy that because for me, like writing lyrics is a little personal, so I can just kind of sit here and come up with a melody, record it, and then kind of just like lay brick, put words to the melody one by one, and send it back. Hey, I like this part. Do you like that part? Like, and then eventually we have a song.
That's really cool. And also, what a gift of like the internet making that
I
so
know,
possible. Because
it's
like
crazy,
we talked about Nashville being what a mecca for music, but
right?
there's talent
Oh
all
yeah,
over the world.
yeah, yeah. The one guy I've done, I think, three songs with him. My most popular song and a couple others. Mino. He lives in Austin, Texas, and he literally doesn't even play. I mean, I guess he can play like some chords on the guitar and the piano, but he doesn't really play an instrument. He's just all like hearing sounds and putting them together, like gathering different samples and stuff. And so he's able to do it in a pretty cool way. And I really like the songs that I've done with him.
What a great testament to you don't need, make stuff with what you got.
Right.
If a laptop and a MIDI keyboard is what you got,
Yeah.
like go for it.
Right. That's truly all you need anymore.
Another one of yours that I really like that I actually got to hear live first in the acoustic setting and then got to hear the produced version is I've Been Up, I've Been Down.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
That
Thank you.
one's really cool. Is that a fun
Yeah.
one to
So,
play?
yeah, I love playing that one. So that one is one that I produced myself. Um, and that was really fun to make. And it's kind of like a weird subject matter. So it's like for me, the last couple years, like I've enjoyed life. I've gotten to travel up, still playing some shows, doing music full time, but I don't feel like I've reached the fullest potential of music, and I'm not exactly where I want to be. And maybe I feel like I haven't put in the maximum effort that I should be sometimes. So I'm not really fully happy, but I'm content with life. Like I'm not hating myself all the time. So it's like that weird middle ground of, yeah, life's not bad. It's like it could be better. So it's just kind of speaking to that kind of weird conundrum of always wanting more, but still being content with what you have.
And a lot of people can connect with that feeling, whether you're an artist or a creative and you're in the pursuit of creating art, or you're someone who's pursuing another kind of career, or there are
Yeah,
other life goals that you want. Like, I think that's a very universal feeling.
absolutely. Yeah.
And you mentioned that this is a song that you produced yourself. I noticed quite a few on your catalog are things that you've produced. When did you get into production? And tell me a little bit about that.
So when I moved to Nashville, I literally thought that music was someone wrote a song, went into a studio with a band, and then that was like all the music that was ever made was that. I didn't know that there were people that could just like record in their house, or I didn't know that world existed at all. And I guess it didn't as much when I first moved here. Like the whole bedroom studio thing has become more like the last 6 or 7 years. But I had, traditionally I would always go into a studio. I'd pay for studio time. I'd have like a band and we'd all have our own parts and we'd all bring our own parts to the song. And that's how I made my music. And then I was touring a lot. I had a huge year planned for 2020. I had like 60, 70 shows booked. And of course, they all get canceled. So I'm left like twiddling my thumbs. And I got furloughed from my job at the time and then eventually let go. And I just had all this time and like wasn't feeling super great about music and where it was going to be going because no one knew. So my girlfriend at the time was like already recording her own vocals. And she said, I was able to figure this out. You should just download Ableton and see what you can do. So I did. And yeah, I just taught myself how to do it. I never like took any classes. I'm not a big researcher. Like I'm not a nerdy, I shouldn't say nerdy, but I don't nerd out on music, like educational videos. That's just not my personality.
You
So
don't
I
like
just
going
kind of,
down the rabbit hole of
no,
just like
I
the most
don't.
random things?
I have a hard time just like sitting there watching someone do something. I prefer to do it myself and fail. So I just kind of taught myself how to work in Ableton and got some mics and stuff. And now I have my own studio that I can make any type of music in. And just gradually over the years, just kind of making random songs for myself. And then eventually I felt confident enough that I could release some songs that I was producing. And then slowly, like people were interested in me potentially producing for them. So just kind of been like a slow, steady climb of getting more confident doing it and just doing it more routinely and getting better and better.
Yeah, and like trusting your ear. Like, I like this. This
Yeah,
sounds good.
exactly. That's really what it is. Yeah.
And you mentioned learning guitar early on. Have you learned other instruments as well? Like, are you working with other musicians for your production, or are you keeping it all in house?
I do it mostly all in house. I wouldn't say I play the piano, but I know all the chords and I mean I could sit down and at a piano and write a song in like 5 minutes, but I couldn't play like an Elton John song or anything. But yeah, I can soundscape, so like I play all the pads and synths and stuff and the sounds that I need. I'm not going to be able to write you like an Adele piano ballad, but I could probably like program it in if I needed to. And I can program drums. I play the bass, and then yeah,
That's really cool.
so
The
that's
next
yeah.
person that reaches out to you, they're gonna be like, I want an Adele style ballad on piano.
I have hired a pianist before, so that is an option.
That's too funny. So, question for you, because one thing that I thought was so cool about your background and especially your sync placements, like congratulations, that's incredible to over 120 or around that number on some really popular shows. Okay, I'm gonna ask you, you might not know it off the top of your head, My sister loves the Kardashians. So what song did you have that was in that show?
Um, so there's three that actually got pretty popular. They have like a couple 100,000 streams. "Give You My World" was one of them. "New Love," "Strength and How We Love," um, "Be Here Until the End," and then there was one more that I forget. But so for those, I was given a brief. So it's like a outline of, hey, the song is going to be in this type of scene. It needs to be about, I forget which one of them. One of them was having like a baby at the time, so it needed to be about like new love and all this like new emotion of having a baby and family and stuff. Gave you some lyrical ideas and then some song references to kind of the vibe of what it should sound like, and then they said verse, chorus, verse, pre-chorus, chorus. Like laid out the structure, and then they said be creative and make a song. And so I did that. So I wrote and produced those ones, and then the same ex girlfriend that I keep mentioning sang it because she has a really pretty voice.
Very cool. Well, I'm gonna
Yeah,
have to pull those. I'll try and link them below if I find them.
yeah,
Because
they're on Spotify. Not on my page, but they are on Spotify.
that is so cool. And sync in general, that's actually something that you hear a lot about as a songwriter living in Nashville. How did you get involved with that? You mentioned briefs. Like, how did you start learning more about sync and getting involved in that world?
Yeah, I got connected with a company in LA that has relationships with all the networks and everything. And then when they felt like there was something down my avenue, they would send me a brief. Um, and then once like one got placed in a show, they started gaining trust, and then sent me some more opportunities. So yeah, so I had like a really good run where I had a lot of songs, and I had some really nice royalty checks, and I even got a bonus from Hulu for having like X amount of minutes in the Kardashians. It was like a super usage bonus, it was called, which is really cool. So I got a bonus from the Kardashians.
Oh man. That's really cool. Do you think your production and like being able to produce songs yourself helps you in that world?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because I think a lot of people can write songs, but then to also have the ability to take that song and like make it sound a certain way is something that not everyone can do. And
Totally.
I can do it really fast too. So I can do like that whole thing in a day, and then they have something that they can pitch.
Yeah, like the turnaround time is really helpful.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I would be selfish and look up every single, I'd be like, all right, it's this show, this episode, I'm watching it. Is that you? Are you like, I gotta see it to believe it?
I mean, I think I did that like the first couple times, but now I just kind of wait for the quarterly royalty check. And I had a song on The Bachelor that I saw. Um, that was one of the bigger ones that I had on this most recent royalty check. Um, and then like all the Kardashian stuff's still on there, like Selling Sunset, and then some smaller stuff. But yeah, it's really interesting once you get in a couple of those shows. There's like so many countries and stuff that it gets played in. Like it lists out all the countries in Europe and Australia that it's getting played in, and it's really interesting.
That's really cool. Is there a show that's like a bucket list moment? If I could have my song on this type of show or in this movie, it'd be it'd be a moment for sure. It'd be a big
I mean,
deal.
I would be really proud of like a Quentin Tarantino movie. I'm not a big reality TV person, so I'm not like super stoked on those. Besides like the financial aspect of it, but um, yeah, to be in like a cool movie that I would actually want to go pay and see would be awesome.
That's really cool. And you mentioned earlier touring and how you got to see a lot of the world, and I even named a few cities that you've done shows in. Um Talk to me a little bit about tour life. How was that, and how did you start touring?
Yeah, so my first band, we would go to like Alabama on a one-off Friday night, and then eventually that turned into like Alabama, maybe Friday, Saturday, or Kentucky into Ohio, doing like little weekend runs. And then I kind of adopted that strategy for my own band. And so usually what I would do is I would kind of research, I would Google like 5 or 6 venues in the cities that I wanted to go to, see what local bands had played there within the last 3 or 4 months, and then reach out to like 20 local bands, say, hey, I'm looking at April 17th. Would you be interested um, in playing with me? If so, I was going to reach out to these venues, and I would try and get like a bill before I even reached out to the venues. So I had some like ammunition behind me. And then once I did, I would just reach out to like a handful of venues and hopefully one would respond. And yeah, that's how I spent a lot of my time at work, just because I worked behind a computer doing a corporate job, and I would just send all these emails and Facebook messages and stuff. So that was another blessing of working in the corporate world, is having a computer in
Downtime.
front of me all day, being paid for it, and just being able to do all this stuff that I wasn't being paid for.
The cutting corners. You're like,
Yeah, exactly.
the Excel spreadsheet will get done, but this
Yeah.
person needs
Oh,
to be emailed.
it was always open on one screen, and then all the music stuff was open on the other.
And it sounded like you were doing this yourself, like booking, reaching
Oh
out
yeah,
to.
yeah,
That's really
yeah. I mean,
impressive.
I've yet to make enough money playing shows where it would make sense to pay like a manager 10 or 15%. So that'd be an awesome place to be, but still kind of pretty far from that.
Yeah. And I think one year, I think I read you played over 120 shows within one year.
Yeah, yeah. So that was literally just like working, and then either on a Thursday or Friday, leaving work and just not even stopping at home, picking up my band, going play 2 or 3 shows in a weekend, and then just doing that like 40 times a year.
Have there been any venues or locations that have been some of your favorite spots or places that you really enjoyed the show?
Yeah, you mentioned it in my bio. Music Fest in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania was really awesome. I played there 4 years in a row. Um, one of the yes, probably the coolest stage I've ever played. Like a pretty legit festival stage there with a ton of stage to run around on, amazing sound, front of house guy and sound guy. Um, like close to thousands of people watching, and that's always been one of my favorite shows I've ever played. And then honestly, like some of my favorite shows ever have been just like the college basement shows where it's just pure energy and debauchery. It's just young people just expressing themselves with music and going nuts and getting drunk and having fun.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
One place that was listed in your bio was Tel Aviv. That is so cool. Like, can you tell me what brought you to Israel? Like, how did you secure that? I think that's really awesome.
Yeah. So that was a 3 week, mostly Europe trip. But my ex and I, we had a wedding to go to in Tel Aviv, and we got connected with a local artist there, and she was able to secure a venue. So we played a really cool show. Like she brought a lot of people out, and they really dug our music too. So it was just really it was crazy, and like it was a wild time to be there too, because we were there I think 6 months before the big attack, and when we were there, Gaza was shooting rockets into Tel Aviv. And for the people that don't know what the Iron Dome is, it's not like a force field. It's a amazing automatic missile system that shoots rockets out of the air. So we were just walking around Tel Aviv, and all of a sudden you would see a puff of smoke, and then 5 seconds later you'd hear this explosion, and it was the Iron Dome, which is Israel missiles shooting Gaza missiles out of the air, protecting Israel. And that happened like 3 times a day the whole time we were there. Just like we were walking around at night, you'd see a fireball explode in the air. And it's just crazy how people have to live like that. And so it was a really unique time to be there and feel that energy and like the fear that those people live in all the time. It's pretty wild.
Yeah. I've been to Israel. It was back in 20 I think it was 2013 or 2014. I did not have that experience with the Iron Dome, but it was such, and I got to go to other places in Israel as well, but
Yeah.
yeah, it was really cool. So when I saw that on the list, I'm like, wait, that's like really awesome. I don't know
Yeah.
anyone that's done that. Are there any countries on your like do you have a bucket list of like I'd really love to go here, like I'd really love to revisit this city?
um, I mean, honestly, I just love to travel, so I would play anywhere. But I'm going to South America in November. I'm playing in hopefully Chile, but I'm for sure playing in Argentina, which will be really cool. So I booked this trip to go visit a friend who's going to be there for 6 months, and she said that, oh, we should go to Argentina. It's only like an hour and a half flight. And when she said that, I remembered that I had done a song with this Argentinian producer 2 years ago. And I reached out to him and he's like, John, we've been waiting for you for 2 years to come here. Give me a day. I'm going to set some stuff up. So he calls me back. He's like, all right, we're going to shoot a music video when you're here. We're going to book you a show and the whole trip's on us. So he literally like said, I booked the flight for myself and my friend, a hotel, and a rental car, and he just paid for it all. So he's like unbelievable, just niceness, just having us come out there and treating us like royalty. And it's going to be so cool to be there, and I think we're going to play our song that we collaborated on, which will be really cool. And so I'm really looking forward to that.
That'll be so cool. You got the fly out. You're getting the
Yeah,
fly out.
yeah. I had to get myself to Chile, but once we were there, yeah, he helped a lot. So that'd be really cool.
That sounds so cool. You said you're going there in November.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
man,
It'll
that'll
be in
be awesome.
Salta, Argentina, is where
So
they live.
anyone tuning in, if you're gonna be in Salta, Argentina, you gotta go check out the show. Hopefully you'll be posting about it so people
Yeah,
can know
absolutely.
about it. Okay, so I want to ask, I have this new segment of my show. I'm calling it Mic Check.
Okay.
When for anyone who doesn't know, they probably do, but when you first are getting up ready to perform, they want you to like check the mic, make sure it's working. And so I was like, all right, it could be kind of fun to ask just like a couple questions and it's like quick response, like kind of first thing that comes to mind. Um, you down?
Yeah.
Okay. Three things that would be on your rider.
Gummy candy, a nice meal from a local restaurant, and a shower.
I imagine
Or
touring and being in a bus and a van and
yeah,
flights. You're like, please help a brother out.
yeah.
Okay, what was the first concert you ever went to?
Velvet Revolver. And my dad took me and two buddies to Hooters before the concert.
That's, I don't know. I don't think I've ever heard of Velvet Revolver. Are they like a rock band?
Oh, really? Yeah. So it was Slash from Guns N' Roses, the drummer from Guns N' Roses, Duff, the bass player from Guns N' Roses, and then Scott Weiland from Stone Temple Pilots, who's now he's passed. So it was like a super group.
So it's
They're
basically, that's
Guns N'
cool.
Roses fronted by Stone Temple, but it was really cool. They were awesome.
Oh, that's really cool. What a
Yeah,
memorable experience.
it was. Yeah,
Okay, who would be your dream collab, dead or alive?
I think I'd be kind of scared to work with him, but I guess John Lennon. I
That would
feel
be
like he'd
cool.
be so witty and like sarcastic. I'd be like nervous to say anything because he'd make fun of me. but he's probably my favorite songwriter ever.
Oh man. Where's the weirdest place you've ever voice noted a hook?
Ooh, that's a good question. I mean, I guess a lot of people have done it in the bathroom. Um, Weirdest place, I don't know. Probably riding, like, not very safe, but riding on a bicycle and holding with one hand and riding with the other.
Hoping you don't crash.
Yeah.
All right, last like fast question. Craziest thing that's ever happened on stage.
Ooh, there's been a lot of that. So I wrote a song in college that this since we played at the same bar every week, this couple fell in love with, and they asked us to play it at a specific time. The guy asked us to play at a specific time this one night, and then he got up on stage and proposed to his girlfriend. So that was really cool.
That's really
Um,
cool.
yeah. So that's something that jumps to the front right away.
That's really cool. So from your socials, you seem to be really into cooking. I could just be
Oh
like
yeah.
imagining this, but I feel like you're always posting like pictures of either what you've made or like things like that. Have you always been really into cooking and
I've always been really into food, and then always really into cooking, and then like the past 4 years I've gotten like super into cooking and critiquing food.
what's your like signature dish? Like if someone was coming over, you're like, I gotta wow them. What are you making?
It could be a couple different things. I make a really good it's a white wine, basil, tomato, onion sauce over angel hair with shrimp. Um, I love Hispanic food. I love making ceviche. Um, I make this really good like coconut milk miso paste kind of stew with salmon. It's really really good over rice. Um, I make a lot of like fancy ramen and pho. Um, yeah, I mean, I love like all the ethnic foods. Like, there's literally nothing I won't eat or try. Like, and I also love making all of it too. So, um, and then yeah, I'd say those are two or three of my main dishes.
So everyone, you gotta follow John. You gotta come for the music, but stay for the recipes.
That's right.
Well, John, thank you so much for taking some time to come on the podcast and tell us more about yourself. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Paige. That was awesome.
Yeah. So every time I have a guest on the show, I always end with the same final question, which is, what is one thing you would tell your younger self?
I would definitely say don't give up, but I would say hold on. You're in for a wild ride.
Well, for everyone tuning in today, if this is the first time that they've come across you as an artist or they just want to learn more, where can people find you online?
Yeah, just all the normal stuff. I'm most active on TikTok, Instagram. I don't really post on Facebook anymore. YouTube. I've been posting a lot of YouTube shorts.
Do you have anything coming up soon that people should get excited for? You mentioned the show in Argentina in November. Anything else
Yeah,
coming up
yeah. I'm
anytime soon?
playing. There's a venue out near Nippers Corner called When Pigs Fly that I'm playing at. I'm playing there. I think September 5th, and that would just be a solo set. So that'll be fun. And then I have some shows in Florida in October, Mississippi in November, and then also be releasing some singles in September and October, November.
Very cool.
Yeah,
Well, definitely make sure for everyone tuning in, please make sure to go ahead and follow John on his social platforms. It really helps him continue to grow as an artist and show interest in the projects that he's working on and support the art that he's making. Um, And as well, if this is your first time tuning in to the So Rude podcast, please make sure to follow along on either Instagram or TikTok at sorude.podcast, as well as wherever you're listening to the show, whether that's Spotify, Apple Podcast. We also post the video version of the interview on YouTube, so make sure to tune in. By continuing to support this show, we get to bring on really amazing guests like Jon to come on and tell us more about them and share with us their tips and feedback and tricks and things that they've learned throughout their journey. So thank you so much for tuning in. Jon, thank you so much again for coming on the show. I really appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Thank you, Paige. That was awesome. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, have a great rest of your day and we'll chat again soon. Bye now.
All right.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe so you can stay up to date with every episode. See you next time.